Delighted to be joined on this webinar by new IWA Sport Chairman James McCarthy. James, welcome along.
Thanks very much, Kieran. Good to be here.
Come here, recently elected Chairman of IWA Sport, involved for years and years and years. How does that feel?
Yeah, I suppose it's interesting. After when I started back in 1983, I never thought nearly 30 years later I'd be kind of voted as chairperson of the association. Obviously it's something very dear to me, and I've spent more than half my life involved in sport. So it's kind of a natural progression. I think after I retired from competing myself, I've gone coaching, and I suppose the next bit, the administrative, was always important because I'm a civil servant by trade. So I suppose the old rules and regs are kind of coming second nature. So yeah, when I was asked did I wish to consider my name going forward, I said I had a little bit of a think about it, talked to the boss, and she said, sure, why not? And here I am.
Yeah, because you touched on it there. You've huge involvement across IWA Sport for that many years. So I suppose newer people to the sport, to IWA Sport, might recognise it from wheelchair basketball and playing with Limerick Celtics more recently. And geez, you've had tons of achievements over the years as well. You might just touch on some of those, James.
Oh, geez. I suppose really it all started back in 1983. 23rd of April was my first ever competition up in Santry. I won the slalom. I was disqualified from the 100 meters. I started in lane 7, ended up in lane 1. But as a young kid, I didn't know the difference. I just had to get there fast. But yeah, since then, I suppose I've been honoured and privileged to represent my country in athletics. I've had 2 Paralympics, which beyond anything is the pinnacle of any sport. I've been lucky to represent Ireland at basketball and floorball, rugby sevens, and going over then and rugby league hopefully soon. And in the middle of that, I did a bit of rowing and went to the Europeans as well. So yeah, I've represented the country. But at the end of the day, the honour of that is unbelievable. And but no matter what level you achieve, that's the ethos of IWA Sport, is for everyone to reach their own full potential. So no matter what the potential is, it's the end of the game. It's sport, So yeah, it's great, really, But
that's a very good point, actually, in that the achievements are great and the medals and everything, but I suppose it's about taking part and keeping active and everything. That's what IWA Sport is about, and getting people involved.
Absolutely. I know myself, when I was a kid, I used to hate being on a physio table for 1 hour, 2 hours a day after coming in from school, and I'm thinking, oh, there's got to be a better way of getting active. And as I say, my dad got a phone call from the chairperson of IWA in Limerick at the time, and he said, "But you're young, fella, be interested." So then straight away I hit with the buzz. But you get so active, and I suppose that the higher up the ladder you go, the more you kind of have to, I suppose, do even more and more training. But even when I was young, we were just playing tag as young fellas, and all this kind of stuff, and just racing after each other. But any bit of movement, it's such a great thing for the health, the mental health as much as the physical health as well. And I suppose I wouldn't be where I am with my job without it as well. All the really good things I've learned out through sport, and it's just stood to me so well, really, over the many years.
You listed off some of the achievements in sports you've been involved in there, and as you're going through them, I was thinking, would it be fair to say there isn't anything, or certainly many, that you haven't taken part in?
I did try table tennis once, and I'm absolutely awful at it. I am absolutely sugar at table tennis. So I've never want to try that one again.
I think the words we're going to use there.
I was going shocking. Yeah, it was one of the words I was going to use. All right, But yeah, I'll try my hand at anything, and I think sometimes it's actually, it's kind of refreshing to kind of just be in the middle of some of the kids, and they're kind of bring it down a peg or two, because they don't care if you're a Paralympian or if you're a new guy. You're just one of the lads, and I kind of get that inner child in me coming out a bit every now and again as well, So yeah, I do think it's really just that kind of no matter what it is, if I'm asked, James, do you want to try your hand at it? Yeah, I'll throw my hand to it.
Yeah, it was an excellent mantra to have, just go for it and try everything. And actually, as IWA Sport Chair, it's great for the younger athletes to look up and see, the chairperson having done everything, whether they were good or not at it, they went for it. And tried. And that's an important message as well. Just you mightn't be the top athlete in it, but that doesn't matter. Just go and keep active in that. Excuse me. Come here. It's great to have the sports back after a pretty big hiatus with no sports. So there's lots happening in the next few weeks. But before we touch on that, just you've been very active in the last few months, naturally on the field or the court, we'll call it. How good is it to be back playing? Because it's hard to be out of action for so long when, not that you rely on it, but it's a big part of your life.
It is, and I mean, I suppose I'm lucky. I work 9 to 5 and all that, and we've been pretty busy for the last 2.5 years in my job as well. So, but outside of that, I mean, getting back to sport, we just couldn't wait. Physically, couldn't wait. I bought myself a couple of weights at the start of the pandemic, so I did a little bit of cardio just to keep fit, because I reckoned if the coach called and said, right, we're starting training next week, if I just spent 2 years doing nothing, I was in trouble, So yeah, it was great, but even like it's just meeting up with guys that I haven't met with in 2.5 years, and guys I've known 30 years. I mean, it's probably the longest I've gone without meeting some of them, and it was like we'd never been apart. It was really good, and just that camaraderie and kind of that, I suppose that will to get back to doing inverted commas normal, and it's the 2 years has been tough, and listen, we've lost a lot of people through it as well who aren't here, and it's kind of, I think we owe it to them as well to kind of get back to doing what we do best,
Moving on to the competitions this summer, and it's jam-packed. There's a huge amount of events happening across all the different sports, between para-athletics, the wheelchair rugby, the wheelchair basketball, plus many, many more sports as well. But just on the wheelchair basketball, because I suppose it's very apt, there's a lot of action happening at the European Championships. The Irish senior men's team are going over there to Sarajevo. And it's great to be back competing there. But when you look at the team, it's a pretty good team.
Yeah, I mean, before I say anything, I just obviously want to wish the guys all the very best of luck, the coaches and the team, having been in that environment, I know just how absolutely hard they train. They definitely won't be leaving anything out in the court, they'll just absolutely bury themselves. I know that. But I mean, we've a good team, and I think we're as good as anyone over there. We've earned the right to be in these places. We're not just making up the numbers. So I think it's a team built for. There's definitely a good bit of speed, good bit of youth, good bit of experience. Some guys I've had the honor of playing with, and a lot of guys have had the honor of playing against. So I know how tough they are on both sides of the fence. And yeah, listen, they'll put it up to the Serbians, to the Latvians, to the Slovenians, and after that, whoever they play, they'll put a mark in.
Yeah, and there's talks without preempting the lads. I'm sure they won't be listening to any of the stuff, but they have a strong team, and they could very well rattle the competition.
Yeah, I think so. Like, as I said, when we went over there, I was lucky enough to be capped back in 2017 at the Europeans, and we medalled. But I think there was just a camaraderie in that team, and I think the team that is there now, there's a camaraderie. Yeah. They've been together for the last X amount of years as well. Even before pandemic, there's some of the lads were on that squad. So I think since then, again, the area question about how good it is to be back, I think the guys have just said, listen, let's give it a really good run here, So I do think they'll, whilst they respect the opposition, they won't fear anyone. And I think that's the best way to do it for sport.
Yeah, and actually one thing that's been nice to see as well, James, actually, the team was announced recently by way of the video with the team players and the coaches. But it got a great reaction online. and it's kind of been spread around. So even the awareness that the team are competing over there has increased something as well, which is great because you're always trying to get the awareness out there. And there was a great reaction to seeing the team.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's the great thing about the kind of the World Wide Web and whatever, and so many guys are on it and whatever, and I think it's basketball is one of those sports that's easy on the eye, I mean, and a lot of people do associate, I think, wheelchair basketball because they see it played, and even when we're playing in Limerick, some of the able-bodied players be kind of watching you and whatever, and they kind of, I think for the first second or two, people are kind of nearly amazed of the skill and the fact, oh geez, the nets are the same height and all this kind of stuff, but towards the second nature. So, but I think it's great that we're out there and so much. But I think that's also due to the IWA as well, pushing the kind of the media side or whichever, to kind of just getting that message out there and making it professional, not just a kind of a, well, here's the team. But I mean, even that video was just so professionally well done, and fair play to yourself. I'm sure well involved in that aspect of it as well. So listen, it was great, but I think it deserves that kind of an announcement rather than just 10 lads' names being put up on a page on a Facebook.
Yeah, and equally the under-23 squad, they're heading over to Finland for the European Para-Youth Games as well. Another strong team as well, but lots to look forward to with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great, the 23s, and last time they hadn't have anything to medal as well. So they've played some of these teams. They've played the Finnish, and they know what the Dutch will be like. They probably know what the Italians and the Portuguese have been like. We've had many senior battles with the Portuguese, so I think it's great that there's the 23s, and I mean, it's the next generation, and of course I see that the 19s are training next week as well. So I think the investment that IWA Sport are putting in now, it's going to have dividends going forward. And I think we have to keep developing on the youth, and I mean, even that structured development of that goal of representing your country, whether it be at 19s or 23s or senior, it's just great,
Listen, we've already kind of gone through your involvement in all the different IWA sports, but you also play a bit of hurling with Munster, and they're probably the strongest province of the four, but you like the bit of hurling as well.
Yeah, I suppose the good thing about hurling, it's everything you're allowed do that you're not allowed to do in a basketball court, and you have a stick as well. So, I do. I like the rough and tumble.
James.
Within reason. No, to be fair, I think any of the four provinces, on any day can take each other. And if there's a ball there, it's a 50-50. They're not going to. It's going to be a bit like the Munster final last weekend. You're not going to come out of the tackle. You're going to go for it. I mean, you owe it to your jersey. You owe it to your teammates to go in there. So, but even then, it's there's 20, 21 minutes of hard, absolute flaking off the court, best pals. And I don't know, are we the strongest province? I mean, we won the last All Ireland, but I mean before that, Leinster were on the top. And Ulster had won a league. So we fought to get back, and I think we're getting there. But at the end of the day, it's in sport, anything can happen, So it's we can control what we can do, and if we play at our best, teams will find it hard to beat us. But if they play at their best, anything can happen.
As a proud Limerick man, I suppose, going off topic, you were happy with the win at the weekend and how strong Limerick are at the moment.
It was a fine game, and to be fair, they were pushed, but it's when I see some of my wheelchair hurling teammates are kind of big hurling people, and they're from the big kind of the Patrick's. Well, one of our lads, his father won an All Ireland in '73, so for him to win an All Ireland, and it didn't matter if it was wheelchair hurling or it was whatever, it was an All Ireland, and that's what it is. It's we're equals, So definitely watching that game, I'm overseas at the moment, so we kind of watched it on the tablet, and we kind of got a little bit excited, shall we say? So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And look, lastly, before I leave you go, James, I know you're out foreign at the moment, and you've plans. We don't want to disturb them. But,
not at all.
I suppose hopes and ambitions for your term as the chair of the NSEC IWA Sport.
Yeah, I suppose. Really, it's kind of I suppose, not doing much differently from my predecessors, because they've got us to where we are today, and kind of, leaving, to use that sport analogy, leave the jersey in a good place for the next person to take it on. But I do think, in touching on what you've mentioned a couple of times there with the pandemic and the fact we've had closed down for the last 2 and 3 years, I think it's up to myself to kind of be visible, to even get out there, because we've had some clubs have even come about in the last couple of years, and it'd be nice just to go out and kind of say, this is who I am, and I just say some of those guys may not know who I am, and that'd be great, because I'm just meeting them then this week. Well, so I do think I'd like for us to be a little bit more visible with some of these clubs. I definitely think the ethos of the whole inclusivity is great. I saw it with the para athletics at the nationals. They've said that the individuals should wear their club jerseys, and because a lot of them now are into able-bodied, it'd be lovely to see some of the able-bodied kind of club jerseys at our own national championships. Again, another sign of we're equal. So I think it's pushing that kind of getting as much inclusivity and just keeping the brand of IWA sport where it deserves to be, at the top. It is a top organisation, and today's athlete, tomorrow's Paralympian or whatever, or as I say, reaching that full potential no matter whom you are.
Yeah. Well, look, James, thanks very much for taking the call and taking the few minutes there to speak about the new role and your history in IWA sport. And sure, look, enjoy the holidays, top up the tent, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Come here, and the best of luck with yourself. I know you're going away for a bit of leave yourself for a while, and it might be a small few sleepless nights as well. But listen, very best of luck, and congrats to yourselves as well.
Thanks. I'm a great sleeper, so there'll be no problem. Thanks.
Good lad.